This is Omar Ahmed for IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. We're at the launch press conference for Parker v Andre, May 21st at Pride Park. You cleared up in the press conference, Frank, why Demetrius is not here, but for anyone who didn't watch it, just to tell us why, please.
Unfortunately, his passport had expired, and he was hoping to get it in time to be here, but it wasn't the case. So there's nothing sinister about it. It was what it was. I think they probably didn't expect us to win the purse bid, so that's why it weren't renewed. But anyway, he will be here in the next week or so for a press conference, and obviously for the fight on the 21st.
Mind you, having it over Zoom actually worked well. Demetrius and Zach and Neil and yourself were all in good form. But yeah, Demetrius played his part there.
He did. I mean, listen, he's a two-weight world champion. He's a former Olympian. He's undefeated. What is it now? 31 fights, 19 knockouts. You know, he's a class act. And it's not an easy fight for Zach. I'm not saying, and he certainly is aware of that. But I do believe, you know, us getting behind our man, securing the home advantage, getting it into his hometown, into his local football stadium, Derby County, Pride Park. I'm hoping all these are going to be all pluses for him. Besides the advantages that I believe he's got physically and his size, he's a natural super middleweight, he's a big super middleweight, and Demetrius is coming up for his first fight, I believe, at super middleweight.
Yeah, absolutely. Zach Parker, massive super middleweight, and that is a big advantage. Obviously, fighting at home in front of his loyal Derby fans, a big advantage. However, will you concede that this is a huge step up in class and levels for Zach?
Oh, absolutely is. But you know, he's looked good in his last few fights. He's beaten, I think, guys who've never been stopped. His last four fights stopped guys who've never been stopped. He's a tremendous puncher, and he's a good boxer. He's got a good chin. I think this is going to be a great night for him, and I think if it works out how we believe and hope, that a star will be born, a new British star will be born, or a star on the world stage. I'm really convinced that he has a magnificent chance of doing this, and if it didn't happen, at least it's massive experience for him. But I do think he's got the tools to deliver.
We know Canelo is at light heavyweight. However, he holds the WBO super middleweight belt, which this is being contested for the interim title. So, what will be the situation should Zach win in terms of the belts with Canelo? What happens?
Well, Canelo obviously remains the champion. It's for the interim belt. But Canelo had to fight the winner. If he decides he's going to stay at light heavyweight, where his next fight is, and I understand he's got a couple of fights lined up at light heavyweight, then obviously he'll have to relinquish the title, and the winner will be declared champion, full champion.
We know tickets are on sale. What is the capacity for May 21st, Frank?
It's 33,500 in the ground, and we've not even had. This is obviously the first press conference. I think yesterday they done just under 7,000 tickets from 11 o'clock yesterday morning, so it's going well.
Whose idea was it to give £10 from every ticket sold to the club? We know Derby are struggling, so that's a really good PR move.
It was from Zach, and we thought about it, and obviously it is a good move. But you know, the fans get behind him. They're also getting behind their club, so it's a double win for it's good for everybody concerned. It's good for the club that they're getting some badly needed cash in their coffers. The money's going into. Will go into the club. It won't be used for any other purposes except for the club, and the fans can see, hopefully, fingers crossed and everything, stars all aligned. They can see a new champion and a new star from Derby. I mean, he could become a superstar of British boxing.
Absolutely huge night live on BT Sport May 21st. Now I will have to ask you, after you announce this show, the Zone are going the same night, May 21st, with Whyte'S and Richards. So your thoughts on that show clash?
Well, it's just a shame. That's happened. It's not the first. It won't be the last time that it's happened.
Will you try and avoid the main event times? Will you just try and speak to Matchroom about that?
I think it would make a lot of sense to do it, but we're going to be guided by it because it's not a normal stadium. We're going into a football stadium. We'll be guided by whatever the local authorities, what the licensing law is. So, but of course we don't want to clash. We just don't want that to happen. But it is what it is.
Now, in terms of that clash, I actually spoke to Anthony Yarde last week. He hadn't been on camera for a while, so it's good to catch up with him. And he was very adamant, that Matchroom put in that offer for Whyte'S because he was number one. It was a very smart move to do so, and that he's sitting tight, waiting for that world title shot, Anthony Yarde.
Well, look. They had to. Matchroom at the end of the day have to do something for Whyte'S. And what I mean by that is that Callum Smith is in at number 1. They got both those fighters, so they have an opportunity to do what we've done in the past, which we've done, last year on a couple of occasions. We made Joe Joyce against Daniel Dubois. We did Lyndon Arthur against Anthony twice. So we have no problem in making fights with our fighters. The best man wins on the night, and it's not the end of the world for the loser. Having said that, they should be doing that. I think he's probably sitting there at the moment, Joshua Buatsi, and think to yourself, what is happening here? I'm not number 1 anywhere. I'm not a mandatory challenger. So they put an offer in. What sensible business is it for us to take that fight when he's the number 1 challenger to a unification match involving Joe Smith, the WBO champion, and Burbitev, or whatever his name is. So the winner of that has to fight Anthony. So he's got an opportunity to fight for both titles. And I think he can win it. I genuinely think he's got a great chance of becoming world champion. Becomes world champion, come over and we'll make the fight with Josh Buatsi. He's got no problem. We'll make that.
Yeah, of course, he has to beat Craig Richards first, should he? And Yarde wins a world title. I know these are big ifs. You'll make an offer to have his first defence against Joshua Buatsi on BT?
If he wins, then we'll be absolutely. We haven't got a problem. We make fights. We don't duck people. We don't duck fights. It just doesn't happen. And we don't sort of make these offers and spout them off. We've made offers to fighters, and you never seem to get any response back from the other side. But it is what it is.
Let me ask about that. That naturally leads me on to Joe Joyce. Now, that situation is mulled over because we know Joshua's going to be fighting Usyk next. But when speaking to guys from Matchroom, Eddie Earn and Frank Smith, they were adamant they had no contact over an offer from yourself for Joe Joyce versus Anthony Joshua. So who did that approach go to, Frank?
There was no offer. What we said is they want to make the fight, we'll make it. There was no offer. We said let's meet, and we have no problem talking about it. No offers were made.
Was there any contact made to them?
I'm not sure how it came about. But irrespective of that, if it was being put out there, then you would think if they're interested, try and do it. We didn't say it to not put it on. But we've made loads of offers. I even talked a couple of years ago about sitting down and trying to do some of the fights. It always comes to nothing.
Well, we know that situation with Joshua and Joyce is over for now. So what is the latest with Joe Joyce?
Joe is still recovering from his arm injury, and I'm hoping he's going to be out sometime in late May.
Talks going well with Joseph Parker's team?
We're at the moment we've got a plan to where we're going, and we're not going to make any announcement on that until he's fit to box.
Carrying on with the heavyweight theme, before we come on to Fury and Whyte, we'll have to ask you, there was a photo circulating of Jarrell Miller up in Morecambe in Tyson Fury's camp. He's sparring Tyson Fury. There was a lot of public outrage about that. Have you got a response as Tyson's promoter?
Look, he's not fighting, Jarrell Miller. He's not licensed to fight. And if he was up there and if he is in the camp training, sparring from him, then I generally don't have a problem with that. He's not competing. He's not licensed as a boxer. And if it's helping Tyson, who's needs sparring partners, then I want what's best for Tyson.
Is there any update on an undercard for Fury Whyte? A lot of people are asking about that.
Yeah, and they're quite right. They should ask for it. Unfortunately, we've had about 4 fights we put together, all fall out, including the British debut. Sorry, it wasn't his debut. It's top ranked. Right? No.
Oh, Jared Anderson.
Jared Anderson. Unfortunately, he's not available now. He's injured, so we're working on it. But it will be announced on Monday. It's been very difficult. We've lost quite a few big names that we were anticipating were going to be on the card.
100% Monday will be announced?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay. Now, Frank, I don't want to go over old ground, but we all saw that interview on Talksport with yourself and Dillian's lawyer. From the conclusion of that, we saw no contractual obligations on your behalf, on Queensberry's behalf, had been broken. So we move on to April 23rd. The fight rolls on.
Correct.
Okay. That's that one dealt with.
That's correct. That's how it is. We expect that Dillian complies with the terms of his agreement and does all the things that he's obliged to do in the contract, as we will from our end.
Last one on the heavyweights, we saw Don King win the purse bid for your man and Trevor Bryan. Now, do you expect that fight to go ahead in the summer, or do you think that will stall? We don't want Daniel's career to stall, obviously.
Well, it has been stalled, to be quite honest. We've been sodding around with this for ages. Don won the purse bid. He's put the deposit in. He sent us a contract which is not a contract for a purse bid. It's absolutely not that. And hopefully we can get that resolved and get that signed up in the next few days. And once that's done, he has an obligation to put the fight on in June. And that's it. If it doesn't go on in June, then obviously we will be lobbying and pushing hard that it goes to the next available, the next highest bidder, which will be us. We want Daniel busy, but we've had a problem, as you know, in as much. One, he couldn't go to the States because he hadn't had his COVID injections to fight in it was early December last year, and also that we couldn't put him in another fight whilst he was in that number 1 spot, or they'd just gone above him and made Bryan with the number 2 or number 3.
Should Don King put that fight on in the summer from a UK TV point of view? That will be on BT Sport?
No, he's got the rights. He has the right to sell it whoever he wants to sell it to. I want it to be on BT Sport. All Daniel's fights have been on, we brought him through, but I want his fights to be on BT Sport. But what I want is the fight. I just want to get the fight on. It's not it's not, I'm not going to say it's a foregone conclusion, but I've got to fancy him going into the fight wherever it takes place, whether it's in the States or it's here. I fancy him for the job, and I just want to get him back in the swing. I want him to get him in the ring, watch him do the business, and then we can then sort of move him and give him plenty of action.
What was your thoughts when you heard that Don King would be going to court and arbitration about the split for Bryan and Dubois?
Listen, he can do what he likes. At the end of the day, it is what it is, and I can't see it going anywhere else. I mean, I don't know I know he goes to court based upon what. I don't understand why he's going down that road. But anyway, it is what it is.
In many fans' opinions, your bid was very high, and obviously Don King's was really high. Are you surprised that Don put that much money up for this fight?
No, he wouldn't. I said at the time, you know what's going to happen? I said he'll put some bid in, and he's got to make it work financially, or maybe he's just putting the money behind his man and to get the home advantage. Who knows? But he's just got to get it on. We need the fight on. Daniel needs to be active. He needs to be busy. We need to get this fight on. We worked very hard to get him in the position he's in, and we've done a great job in doing so. So now, we want to capitalise, I need him to capitalise on that.
Now, I saw a post from Neil Marsh saying there's some massive news regarding David Avanesian in a huge fight. So, good stuff coming for David?
Well, I hope so. We're working on something at the moment, and it's going to take a bit of time, but we're working very hard on something.
On his last fight with Oskari Metz, it was reported, I don't know if it's true, that 11,000 people tuned in on BT. So have you got any comment on that, Frank?
11,000? That's a nonsense.
Is it?
Yeah. Okay. Absolute nonsense.
Can you give an indicator how many people tuned in?
You've caught me on the hook there. I don't know what they were, but that's beyond ridiculous.
Did you see a video of Danny Williams fighting recently? What were your thoughts on that? People were just so upset watching that.
I've done my column this week on the Daily Star about it. I think it's just dreadful. I mean, I promoted Danny. I managed him and promoted him for a number of years. And he's, through his fight, beating Mike Tyson, fighting against Klitschko for the title. The great fight he had in one of the most dramatic performances I've seen in a ring against Mark Potter. Terrible. It's a shame. It's a great shame. He should not be doing it. It's dreadful. People and commissions are allowing this to happen. What's he now, about 47, 48? It's really sad, and it can't do his health any good, and it's not good for him, not good for his family. It should be stopped. It should be stopped.
Who can help him?
It's terrible to hear as well about Mark Potter suffering from cancer now. You think he's I understand so I was reading, he's got terminal cancer. And you think, here's a guy that would, I'm sure would like more years, and here's a guy who's in the ring, basically knocking years off his life, Danny Williams. It's just so.
Who can help him, Frank, Danny?
Well, I'm sure his family don't want him to fight. The Boxing Board of Control take his licence away. The only people who can help him are people who have an intention of using him, and the way they do that is by not putting him on. He's fighting because he's the guy that beat Mike Tyson. That's why they use him. That's their selling point every time, and it's wrong. It's terrible. He's all this stuff. If it hasn't now, this catches up with you. It catches up with you.
Bit more positive note, last one. It's very rare in boxing we see an undisputed fight take place. Lou DiBella and Top Rank have made that fight with Kambosos Jr. and Haney in Australia for June. Just your reaction to that massive fight being announced?
It's a great fight, isn't it? You know, it's a great fight, and I'm sure everybody's going to be excited in watching it. And we're all going to see now Haney. We've never seen him. Hardly any people get to see him.
Well, you got your show April 16th. I know you announced, obviously, April 23rd at the big one, April 29th, May 21st in Derby with Parker Andrade. So we're getting any more May shows in between the April and 21st?
I hope there's going to be another one, and we'll be announcing our June shows as well.
Perfect. All right. Frank Warren, thank you very much for talking to IFL TV, and yeah, I'll see you when I see you.
I'll see you when I'm looking at you.
Welcome, Team Everlast, to the Team Everlast Fitness app. Download the Everlast Fitness app and find your greatness within.